Jace, you're a millionaire, family man, got a life that I'm sure many from the outside would love to have. You're a best-selling author of this fantastic book, Always Free, which focuses on financial freedom, mental freedom, personal growth. And I'm going to say this outright, you're arguably one of the sharpest entrepreneurs I've been fortunate enough to coach and call a friend now.
Thanks, mate.
But the one box you'd struggle to tick, I believe for a couple of decades or more, was your physical health, shape.
Yeah.
Fast forward to now, you're in the best shape of your life, and we'll share some stats shortly. Today I want to unpack what life was like before we started in Built to Last and what life is like now. And we're going to break down for the listeners today, from your perspective, how the process has helped you achieve these results. So for anyone who, like you, has struggled for a few years or maybe a few decades to truly tick this box of physical health, physical shape, we're going to share the insights from your side, not from my side, how you believe we've made that happen.
I think, ticking a box is an interesting way of putting it. I think I've ticked many boxes. Having them stay ticked is the problem, right? It's like I've ticked something for a brief moment before, and then it becomes very much unticked. You fall back into this kind of yo-yo pattern where, you almost go tenfold the other way for a bit. You undo everything you've done plus more, and then you have to work even harder. And I think going back to where it all stemmed from really is just being, I think for me personally, it was coming from very little. Anything I would go to school with, like, the Tesco own brand crisps, and and I'd look at my friends with the Doritos and think, oh man, I wish I could have that lunch. And everything was kind of, my perception was that we had this lack of, or this scarcity around food. So anytime that I would be at a buffet or a party, I'd be like, free food, and I'd kind of really make the most of it. And after a while that took its toll, and I became fat. so I was a fat kid from 13. So when you start changing into that, trying to get girls and all that, 13, 14, I was the fattest. I was the worst I'd looked or felt in myself. Still pretty confident kid. I was always happy in my own skin, I think. But I developed this, right, I need to sort this out. And then when I left school, I started running. I lost a lot of weight, became very popular with girls. So like in 17, 18, I saw it as this is how you are popular. This is how you get respect. This is how you, and I kind of tied some of my self-worth to training, I guess, and fitness. But I never learnt anything. I learnt about lifting weights. I learnt about going to the gym and pushing hard. And there's so much that you can learn about pushing weights. And I tried everything. And for my whole life, I've never really got to grips with what truly moves the needle when it comes to getting the body you want, feeling happy in the body you want. I think that's the most important thing. Feeling happy, confident, and knowing that you're in control of that body. Not just luckily getting there because you've shredded down before Marbella.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who've done that.
Yeah, right.
The 6 week shred, the 8 week shred.
But it's always torturous. It's like this torturous thing. And right now I'm in a position where I feel like I'm in a crane, just moving levers, and I know exactly what to move to do things that actually give me the body I want, and I feel in control for the first time ever. So it's taken 44 years to really, really learn certain things about myself that have given me a newfound confidence in my body, newfound confidence in the way I approach training, and a new love for training. I love my training again, which, just at the start of this phase, I was just about to go back on this yo-yo thing. I'm just not going to get there because I felt tired. I felt I was going to break. And and then obviously what we did was just a game changer for me, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute. But
Yeah.
I feel, going back to your question, I was in this place where I was trial and error for like 40 years.
And what did you try in particular?
Harsh calorie deficits, really harsh calorie deficits, volume training, GVT, bro splits, all the regulars, lots and lots of running, doing loads of cardio, everything. I've been training since I was like 17, 18, and
so just like many people listening, it's not a case of you'd been inactive for a number of years. You'd always been active and always been actively trying to.
I consider my identity as someone who is a fitness guy, goes to the gym, but I just have all those years. I haven't learned as much as what I've learned in the last year, which is I mean, it makes me want to cry and it makes me want to laugh, but it's it doesn't mean that just because you've been training a long time, you know what you're doing.
Just to kick us off, Jace, I talk about, and this is important for anyone listening, the foundation for everything is being clear on what you want and why it matters, especially in relation to the things you preach in this book, right? During this period where you've struggled, were you crystal clear on what you wanted from a physical identity perspective and why it mattered? I've
always had an idea of where I'll be happy with my body. I don't know. The body dysmorphia is a real thing. I don't know.
But especially if you viewed yourself, and I think this is important when you viewed yourself as someone who was maybe a chubby kid or not an athlete.
Yeah.
And then you've conditioned that pattern and way of thinking for a number of years. It can.
Yeah, and then nothing's ever good enough. It's like, oh, well, I've still got this bit of fat, this bit of, So I'm a bit harsh on myself, but I'm happy knowing that I'm getting closer to that person that I'm happy with in the mirror. I am really happy in the mirror. There's always going to be room for improvements, but I kind of guess I knew. I always, when I want a body, like for me, it was like print out a picture of Jack Reacher. I'll go for that. And I didn't really appreciate genetics and things like that. But nowadays, I'm like, right, I'll be happy with a little bit less fat here, and I kind of know in my head what I'm going for sure.
Well, either way, you've got that six pack you've been alluding to, and it's not gone after a week like I think it previously happened before.
Yeah, that's the problem. A typical situation would be this: I would really go hard for say 4 to 5, 6 weeks of hard calorie deficit.
Yeah.
Hate my life. Hate training, resent the gym. You get to 8 at night, and then I'm like looking at snacks and trying to get just before I go to bed, having a flipping peanut butter sandwich or something, just to try and it feels better, because my body's like screaming for fuel, and I'm filling it with stuff that isn't fuel. I'm filling it with stuff that fills me up, bloats me out, and then I'd go on a binge. If I've just done that, might as well just write off tomorrow. Might as well write off the weekend. Might as well. Sod it. Fuck it.
So give people some context, and obviously if you don't know Jason, he's a world-class trader who's got a fantastic YouTube channel too. So you're obviously a numbers man.
Yeah.
So share some context around some of the numbers, for example, when you had started these shreds before. I'm right in saying at some point you got down to 78 on one of your shreds.
Yeah.
From 90.
Yeah, but my face was gone,
That's lighter than me now, by the way. And you're naturally a taller man. So that must have absolutely killed you.
Yeah. So that was only a couple of years ago. Yeah. I think it was 2023 or 24. Yeah. And, mate, my face was gone. I looked ill. My eyes were like set in. And I hated training. I was like, I can't do this. I can't keep this up. And my wife said, you look gaunt. I just didn't look attractive.
And then even though you're mentally strong, look, one of the things you and I are both so passionate about, and probably a lot of people listening, is business. And you speak regularly on stage. So that must have been a bit disaster during that period where you're trying to stay sharp and energized on stage.
And you can't think. But I know now that it was like a depletion of carbs, which I did not know. I'll admit this. I did not know that carbs were the energy, like true energy.
Not fuel. The enemy, the energy.
The energy, like not the enemy. I can't eat enough carbs now. And like, give me the carbs, because that was the game changer. The biggest game changer was so you talk about numbers. I've tried, I think with the fitness industry, there's so much rubbish out there, or there's so many different opinions, and there's probably truth to them all. It's a bit like trading. There's truth to all these strategies. They all work to a degree in some way, if you're doing it right. But the problem is you don't know what you're doing. So you're taking bits of information here, bits of information there, and you're trying to piece together this thing, and you're just out on your own trying to make it work. But now, you know, when we changed just so you know, I was at a place where I was on 1,600 calories a day, huge deficit. I could not lose any fat for shit. Yeah. You know, I could not lose any more weight. I couldn't lose any more fat. I looked tired. My back felt like it was going to break. I felt like I was going to ping muscles any minute. And you said, double your calories. And I'm like, what do you mean double the calories? And I could not believe it. The next day, I doubled the calories, and I just got stronger and stronger, and the fat just went shredded off of me. I just couldn't believe it. And it was that point when I fully trusted the process. Yeah. Because you can't possibly trust it until you see it happen. It's really hard to trust. Yeah. Especially for a fat kid, you know, in mentally fat kid.
Because what was your relationship with food and carbs in general up to that point?
I just thought carbs made you fat. I just thought carbs were this thing that kind of bulked you out. But what I didn't fully appreciate, I think the biggest eye-opener in terms of the quality of food is carbs to me before were bread and pasta and, you know, dense, like... I heard a great saying, I'm not sure if you said it. You said something in the group chat that said, if you can't see it, don't eat it, right? And I took that as like, if you can't buy it and you haven't got it in your house and you can't see it, you don't eat it, right? But there's a deeper meaning that kind of resonated with me for that. And it's like, if you can't see it in terms of ingredients, don't eat it. So anything that has got ingredients that you can't see, don't eat. And then you're just eating whole foods. And then it just makes you eat oats and sweet potato and... You know, and you can have as much of that stuff as you want, and it's just gives you more energy.
Yeah, the thing I preach with that is every single aspect of your health, fitness, fat loss, energy, physical confidence, emotional confidence journey is made easy when you eat real food.
Real food, yeah.
You know, you handle more food volume per calorie. What I'd love to break down, Jace, because you know you're someone who's been very active. You've tried many different training protocols, and you've tried many different diets. I'm sure you're familiar with the universal rule of, you know, getting your steps in and all that stuff. Yeah. And as I've previously shared, you know, you've got a book that is so powerful when it comes to identity, beliefs, how they can shape habits, behavior, and the trajectory of so many different areas of life. Can we break down how a typical structure of your week looked before we kicked off versus now? So say if we went through the core drivers, training, I'm not saying it was wrong, but what were you doing with your training before versus now?
So, I mean, I'm always a fan of getting your training in first, prioritizing your health. When I say prioritizing health, whether I was doing it right or wrong, or whether I was moving the needle enough, efficiently enough, is another thing. But I've always believed in putting yourself first. So I've always been if you're going to train, do it in the morning, do it first thing, get the steps done, get the walking out of the way and all that. So I've already done that. But before this, I was at a position where I needed some motivation from someone else. So I needed a training partner, and my training partner is at work, so they can only do it after work. So then I'm getting into this habit of doing it in the evening. Just recipe for the disaster, really.
So you were training. You've always trained in the morning.
I always train in the morning.
But what was your training split like before? Was it a chest day, back day? Okay. I'm not saying that's wrong because I've done it myself in my 20s.
So it was chest, triceps, back, biceps, and then shoulders and no legs.
Okay, and then if you can, which listen, honestly, I'm sure Jason's going to validate this. If you want to make every single aspect of your physical change quicker, I say smoother, even though you've got to go through some pain every now and then during your leg work, easier is training your lower body effectively and frequently. So you were doing split body routine, and what you're doing now?
Full body.
And what has been the thing you've noticed most from an efficiency standpoint and just a physical change adaptation?
God. So there's so many. One, time to recovery. You know, if I did do a leg day, it'd take me 6 days to even walk properly.
Which impacts steps, which impacts then fat loss.
Everything, yeah. Chest, just do chest and triceps. One heavy day doing chest for an hour would mean I could never do chest again for the next few days, 4 days. So you're basically inefficiently training one muscle group a week, basically. And the difference is, so I can now do split volume, so I'm doing more exercises across all muscle groups, which means without that agonizing, the paralyzing thing. Also, my energy, my mobility, my legs. My legs are just now.
They've for me, they're virtually doubled in size.
They're doubled in size, and everything as I feel has been a benefit of that. Like all my fat is shred because my legs are getting bigger. I'm getting more muscle in my legs, so then my fat's burning quicker. So that's been a game changer, and I feel like I'm training less but with more intent. So I'm doing like 3-4 sessions, but they're half hour, 40 minutes, and it's like it doesn't feel like I'm really abusing my body.
And also by doing that, you've got more time in the rest of your week to factor in potentially extra cardio if you want to do it, or Pilates. I know you do your hot and cold. You've got more space to fit that in, where it's very hard to do that if you're doing a single body part per day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you miss a day, or you go on holiday, or you become ill or something, you've potentially missed all of those muscle groups. Whereas if you're doing these full bodies, you've hit them at 1 or 2 times.
And you don't feel like you failed if you've missed a body part, because you can't do that. So even on a bad week, if you've trained 2 full body, at least you've hit your whole body and structurally feel strong. Because give people some context how frequently you speak and you travel overseas and up and down the country, especially, you got a best-selling book here. I remember the amount. How many podcasts have you done in the last year?
I done 63 podcasts last year, and I travelled 26 times to foreign countries.
And you probably must 20, 30 events minimum.
Yeah.
Not just in the UK, but overseas.
Yeah. I speak a lot on stage, and
and
then holidays and
you've only got hotel gyms to work with.
Yeah.
So how efficient has been the full body training sessions in these hotel gyms?
It makes it so much
they've got
easier.
less kit.
So much easier, right? Because one, you don't need these massive dumbbells. If you're doing, you can cope with the 20 dumbbells if you're doing these full bodies, Bulgarians and lunges and
variations in rep ranges and things like that.
Rep ranges, the 15, 12, 10s, and so you don't necessarily need more equipment. And the biggest one is that it's all dumbbells on a bench. Like pretty much. There's a couple of barbell exercises, but it's all dumbbells on a bench, which you can just literally do in a 5 meter square place.
So what we do that from a system perspective, it's removing complication, friction, and removing barriers as to one, not just getting you training in, but still getting effective workout in, even if your training kit is compromised, which for many of our entrepreneurs it is.
Yeah.
I'm yet to coach anyone, including yourself, who's in the same place for 52 weeks of the year.
No. I mean, it's great. Yeah. But I went to a public gym, a few weeks back, and I just got I just used the bench, hogged some dumbbells. Everyone's walking around the gym, going to all these machines, and I'm just there, like in the whole start to finish. One bench, set of dumbbells, and that's it.
And would you have said in the past that maybe when you're in those environments previously, that might throw you off a little bit because you go,
waiting for machines. You're never waiting for, you're rarely waiting for some dumbbells. But it's just, oh my God,
And then what about food, Jace? So that's arguably been the biggest thing, I would say. So am I right in saying you're currently on 3,000 calories? You're on 1,600. But give people some context. I've got some stats here, but from your perspective, you're on nearly double the calories. You're leaner, you're stronger, which the hardest thing in the book, especially when you're 44, right, is to get leaner and add muscle, right, without drugs, without peptides. Because I'm right in saying you've had a few accusations.
People amount of messages I've got saying TRT. Even someone who
because that's the buzzword at the minute. Is it TRT? It's like anyone in shape, you're on TRT.
Yeah, but even like a good friend of mine came around, trained with me, and even he was like, "Are you not taking anything?" Which I see as a compliment, but I've had 3 DEXA scans, and the results are there, man. I think on that last one, I was 1,600 calories, really trying to shred this last bit of fat, and I was very fluffy,
soft.
I shred down, and then I got to this last bit, and it was like, this isn't going anywhere, and then I kept pushing. Then I started feeling like I was gonna rupture a bicep, or I just felt really tired. My back was hurting, and it was almost like my body was going, we're not letting you get rid of this bit of fat because I've seen you do this before, and this is our survival, right? This is what we need.
Well, you can't have energy out without energy in. And if you're listening to this or watching this, and you've been in that place before where you've trimmed your calories, and then you're wondering why you've got no oomph in the gym, or you're struggling to have the motivation to even get outside and do a walk, there's a strong chance it's down to your energy or fueling in.
And I wouldn't have believed that, right, until we got on the call and Chris, the nutritionist, said...
Who's a member of our team, brilliant nutritionist.
Whack up your calories to 2,400. So I went from 1,600 to 2,400 the next day. I was like, all right. Because I was basically going to give up. I was like, I'm not going to... This isn't for me. I'm not cut out to be shredded, right? So I was like, I'll just carry on going through this yo-yo thing. All right, I've got nothing to lose. I'll try it. Another 1,000 calories on top of what I was doing. And I was loving it. Right? I was loving the food because it was all good food, real food. I thought there's no way. There's no way this is going to work. Anyway, next day I went to the gym, much more energy. So I start pushing heavier. I'm like, where has this come from? And then it was only that point that I realised that actual fuel and carbs and everything, it does actually make you lift heavier. Again, it sounds daft after being 44 years old. I never ever felt the energy from food that I did when I ate that day of food. Next day, I lift heavier. The next day, I weigh less. Just weight starts coming down. The next day, I lift heavier. The next day, I weigh less. I couldn't believe it. The weight is dropping. I'm eating more. And then you say, up 200 more calories. And I'm like...
Jason nearly has a meltdown when I'm messaging him. He's like...
Another 200 calories. He's like... Yeah, do 200 calories. Up 200 calories. A week later, 2 weeks later, I'm still dropping. And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm shredding. My muscles, I'm getting good pumps, getting all the lifts in. My strength, I'm getting stronger. Go up another 200 calories. In the end, by the end of it, to get to 3,000, I'm like, how can I increase it? He's like, put oil on your salads. Like
you've gone from eating peanut butter and whatever it was you were having to fill yourself up to go, Kirk, how can I get all this food in?
Yeah, I can't get all the
Can I have some rice cakes to top my carbs up? Because there's only so much potato I can have.
That was it. And he was like, put oil on your salad. I'm like,
and just give some context. I got your DEXA stand in front of me here, the last one. From when you went from 1,600 calories to 3,000, you added 1.53 kg of lean muscle mass and dropped 2.5% body fat.
Yeah. I was 15.8% on the first one, I think.
Yeah, so you dropped, just over 2.5%. Yes.
Yeah.
Which...
I mean, that is just says it all, right?
Yeah, but the thing with that, Jace, and I've said it to you, God knows how many WhatsApps, I'm like, there's 2 different ways to, in my opinion, drop fat. One, you can diet and starve your way into shape, or that low body fat, which for me isn't sustainable. A rebound is absolutely inevitable.
Well, it literally didn't work for me. I couldn't get any lower on fat, because I just couldn't train. I just didn't have any energy.
Even your test levels, your oomph, sex drive, all these different things. Or you can perform your way into shape, move your way into shape, and you can't out train a bad diet. I know there's so many quotes out there and stuff. It's not a license to eat what you want and all that stuff, because if you're moving a lot, training lots, but then eating shit and eating a lot of shit, then if you're putting on body fat, then you're eating more food than what your body needs, but the quality of calorie is nowhere near where it needs to be. But all that happened with you, Jace, is we've put more fuel in the tank. You are using that fuel to move more and lift heavier, which is more pleasurable. And rather than relying on solely how little calories can we eat, you're using that extra fuel for more performance, which means you're enjoying your sessions more, you can lift more, and you're creating your deficit by more fuel.
Yeah, totally.
Which is what we're trying to do with Built to Last. It's like, how sustainable can you make this? Because I think so many people are being failed by outdated methods and principles. which is even harder to shake off if someone has seen themselves as fat or out of shape for an extended period of time.
And do you know what else was a big game changer as well? It was realising that he's always trying to hit the protein, right, and smash the protein and push the protein.
Yeah.
Just go for the lower band of protein, like the 0.8 to whatever it is grams.
Well, you're on about 150 to 160, so it's nothing.
160.
It's nothing
but
crazy.
I was like pushing 205, but that's all calories that I could have had to carbs, you know.
Yeah. So no, you're right. So what a lot of people do is protein, which is important. That is for me the foundation for any great physique and muscle mass around longevity and all that stuff. But I do think people drastically overconsume protein. I did it in my 20s because you're in the bodybuilding gym. I don't need as much protein. But if your goal is to optimize calorie volume, if too much of your calorie volume is coming from excessive protein and more than what you need to build and maintain muscle, that leaves less space for carbohydrates and fats. And one thing I've shared with Jace is one of the most simple ways you can look at food management is have a consistent protein intake. For most men, it's going to be 150 to 170 tops, 180 max if you're a bigger guy. Have your fibre. Make sure you get an adequate fibre. Could be anywhere from 35 to 50 grams. Have a consistent fat intake. It might be 50 grams, might be 60 grams, right? And then all you're doing is scaling up or scaling down your carbohydrates based on your energy demands.
And that's the lever. That's the lever.
And so we've gone through training, we've gone through food. What has that extra fuel done in terms of the oomph to improve fitness and get outside and move more? Because one of the things I'm obsessed about, we're both parents, right? We don't just want to be in shape and look good. You want a healthy heart and you want to be fit.
Yeah, and you want to set an example.
Yeah. So how much of a difference has the fuel made, for example, to your fitness?
Man, I would not have got on I would hate getting on a stair climber or going to do some extra steps and all that, right? But I think if I was to give any advice to anyone on that and what's helped me and what's made it better for me is to try and prioritize it so you get it done first. That is a big one. So I spend the morning getting a lot of that out of the way. Because what I find is if you're sat there and you're trying to get work done and maybe you've got it in your head, I've got to get more steps in. I've got to make my steps up. Just try and do an extra half hour if you can in the morning and just get it done. Then you can just veg about all day and you don't got to worry about movement anymore. Or break it down into little bits and pieces. But it's just given me so much more energy to be motivated to do that, to get it out in a block or even go for walks in the afternoon. Or so all of that stuff's just, and you get a confidence that you want to go out and do stuff. So you just get a different mindset. I think one of the things that we probably should have mentioned is the food. Like I'm being able to eat a lot of the same things. I don't track what I'm eating because I just eat the same thing. So I tracked it once and then I'm like, right, I just eat that every day. I think a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people struggle with eating the same thing every day.
But for me, even if someone doesn't do that forever, if you're struggling to get in shape, having a period where 80% of your week is pretty autonomous. I'm sure if you're anything like Jason, a lot of entrepreneurs we coach, you've got your business commitments, you've got your family commitments that require decision making. So if you are wasting too much decision making and trying to do 55 different meals each week, for me, a lot of the time it's a distraction, a procrastination tool on really trying to focus on your work. So if you can just make your food as autonomous as possible, that buys you flexibility and freedom when you're out. Do you know what I mean? And also, can you give people...
But even that, mate, it was just like, if I go to a hotel now, I know it's quarter plate of protein, quarter plate of, complex carbs, and half a plate of fibre or veg.
And it's just been other principles such as, if you can't control... Because you're at events sometimes, right, where you can't go into the chef and go, I want to eat exactly that. But you'll have principles in your head.
I say that, though,
as
much as I can.
Yeah, okay, so that's an important point. So we've spoke about, obviously, a lot of food, training... Just from Built to Last in my coaching style, how has that helped you in terms of creating structure, creating accountability, and also from a mindset perspective? Because a lot of people, they don't know what they don't know. You maybe wouldn't have spoken to a chef before and said, do you mind if you modified that? How has that helped?
Oh, amazing. I mean, that gives you a discipline and it gives you respect, I think. It puts you in a position where people are like, Yeah, you know, he knows what he wants, that guy. You
Yeah.
know, and you don't have to be a dick. You just, we were at a skiing trip.
Yeah, can you give people an example of that?
We were at a skiing trip in Italy. I don't know if you've ever been to Italy, you'll know the food's awful. It's just bread and pasta and food. It's the worst country for food, I'm sorry. It's great for a binge, but yeah. Cheese, sausage, pasta, bread, that's basically it, pizza. And we go to this pizza restaurant where they've got these big cheese things where they're like melting it and scraping it onto thing. And I'm like, I can't have that, right? So how badly do I want this? More than I want that cheese. So everyone's ordering pizza. Oh, you know, this is all they sell. And I just politely asked the lady who works there, do you have any chicken that you put on these pizzas? Yeah. Okay, could I just have some chicken breast and some veggies? Yeah, of course. You know, I'm more than happy to help. And then everyone looks at you and thinks, fair play. You know, you didn't have to eat that. So there is another way. You know, and I think people respect that. And yeah, you just feel confident for doing it. So don't let that get in your way, for sure. You ask the chefs if they've got the food anyway. They've got the you know.
I know.
We make me some eggs.
I agree, but I think so many people surrender to.
Oh, that's all they had,
or the expectations of that peer group, or the mentality of that peer group. And there might be some people going, God, do you really have to do that? Well, you don't, but it comes down to an expectation. If you are like Jason, who has an expectation of being lean and also feeling good about his body, and you don't want to eat something in that environment, do what you want, not what other people want. And most of these restaurants, they're a service-based industry where they want to fulfill your needs as much as possible. Definitely. And if you're not rude and you just politely ask, hey, look, can I have that instead of that? Or would you do this for me? It's amazing what happens when you just ask. But I think a lot of people, they have this imposter syndrome, or they have this insecurity that they're going to be judged.
It's the same with like drink and all that, isn't it? Like, oh, you don't drink? Oh, yeah. Or I have a drink. Yeah. It's mad how we've been conditioned to think what's normal and what is obsessive, you know?
Yeah.
And everything that's obsessive is you just looking after yourself.
What
you should have had.
I 100%. Jace, one of the things I remember us discussing was, you know, when we were maybe a month or so into the journey, was around belief systems, and you've just shared as well, you know, is this for me? Is my body just not cut out for this? Or can I not do this because of age or whatever? You speak so heavily about belief systems around money. I speak so heavily around belief systems around shifting that identity permanently, which for me is absolutely essential if people want lasting change. If you're still listening to us, hopefully you too value lasting change, feeling consistently healthy, energized, confident, week to week, month to month, year round, and not just in bursts. Just in relation to your physical shape and health identity perspective, what were your beliefs before you started working with me versus now?
My beliefs were that if you want something, you can only really do it by yourself. You know, that was it. You can take pinches of salt from people, and this is strictly to do with body composition and performance around your body. So it's like, you can listen and take with a pinch of salt, but ultimately it just comes down to you doing the work. And to a degree, there's training with intent and all that kind of stuff, and focusing on the workouts and stuff like that, which is really important. But it's not true. You know, you don't necessarily do it on yourself. You need people around you that have dedicated their lives to doing something that you haven't dedicated your life to doing, right? Because you've been focused on doing the thing that you're so good at. So, you know, no one can really tell me about money and finance and investing and stuff. But what they can tell me about is they can mark my exam paper on my body composition. You know, you can't mark your own exam paper. There's a great saying, your mouth's 1 inch from your nose, but you need someone else to tell your breath smells like shit. And it's so true. It's so true. Like, you can know yourself as much as you think, but there's always going to be someone that values some other part of life than you have. Therefore, you should listen to them. And I think being around someone who's telling me what to eat and got confidence in the stats and the numbers and the experience that they've had, someone who's been through every training program, has now amalgamated what he thinks is the best and most effective and efficient. You should listen to that, you know, and then listening to people who have genuinely got your best interest at heart. So there's some sustainability element to it, to what they're saying, and some method to their approach. You know, they're not just trying to sell a quick training program or whatever, you know. So Built to Last resonates with me because it's everything I talk about in my book. It's building something that is sustainable and longevity, which I like the idea of. So my belief now is I can be who I want to be, and you know, I just needed to get around the right people to tell me what to do in the bit that I was lacking or missing, and I feel empowered now. I feel like I can, you know, I'm very excited about the second half of my life and how much I'll enjoy my body and enjoy everything that is a result of having being happy in my own skin, basically.
Yeah, because I know you use a lot of I am statements and stuff, you know, in the in the book. And I know we bounced off a couple between us, didn't we? And I've tried to get in your head a little bit when you are an athlete, you are this. Are there any in particular that, or just words maybe, even if they're not I am statements, that you either write, say, or have just got subconsciously now?
I'm a leg man.
I'm a leg man.
I'm a leg man. That is something, that's got to be the biggest one. I would never, ever thought that I would say in a million years, I am a leg man. I like doing legs.
You love training legs.
I love training legs. Never, honestly, asked me last year, legs were the nemesis. I would never have said that. And I'm very thankful for that because that's been a game changer.
Yeah, 100%. And then just when it comes to Built to Last in general, obviously, you know, we've been working together, the structure, the accountability, you're probably sick to death of sending pant shots, posing shots. How helpful has it been being connected to even the community we've created inside Built to Last?
It's amazing. The community are, I mean, it's very difficult to not succeed in your goals when you're in a room of people who are like that, you know, who all have the same goal. They all have different stories, different limiting beliefs, different excuses, different backgrounds, but everyone has the same goal. And because of that diversity, it's almost impossible to fail because you've got like these underpinning perceptions and opinions that help you see things that you didn't see. As I say, you can't mark your own exam paper, but in the same way, everyone pushes each other in a direction that they couldn't push themselves in. So I think it's you know, Built to Last community's absolutely phenomenal, mate. What you've built there is remarkable.
No, I appreciate it, but it takes great leaders like yourself and a lot of our top guys, and also people who are trying to work towards, when I say top guys, it's just people who have truly bought into the process and they've gone full throttle with it. Because I really believe that one of the best ways to condition that version of your identity from a physical health and even an internal confidence perspective around your physical health is to share with people in a community how you train, how you eat, what your standards are, not just for your own benefit or to help other people, but by you showing your cards in front of other people, it's sort of hardwiring in your soul. Well, I am a consistent person because you are sharing what you're doing. Yeah. So the more times you do that, I know even from a selfish perspective, being I suppose one of the leaders of Built to Last, it's, you know, it's my baby, it's my brand, right? I've become even more consistent since I've had that community because no one wants to be that.
You have to show
up. That person who's showing one thing or saying one thing but showing another. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I know, that's it, man. I think there's a saying, if you want to be really great at something, you should teach it, and the reason for that is because you can't then not do it. You know, you're vulnerable, and now it's like, well, I've got to put my money where my mouth is. I've got to prove that this...
It's very easy to hide when you've only got yourself and maybe even one other person to be accountable to. It's easy to go missing on that cold, wet day, or you're in that environment where the food choices aren't great, but they can be made worse by what you choose. Yeah. It's easy to go missing when it's just you, yourself, and I, and no one. Yeah. There's no one watching.
Do you know what I love? One of the things I love most about what you do, mate, is it's just the truth, and I think everyone has suspicions around fitness.
Why do you think that is?
And you just confirm the suspicions instead of instead of playing along and going, you can still have the cheats and the mayonnaise and the
eat shit,
get a burger and have a beer and all this kind of stuff. You just say, do you know what? You can't. Don't eat that. That's crap food. And if you're really trying to get fit and really trying to, change your life here, why are you worried about drinking alcohol anyway? Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I think are you going in for it or are you not going in for it?
No, I don't fluff stuff up, and
no.
I just think there's probably a lot of marketeers watching this, or people who are familiar with marketing and ads and all this stuff. Yeah. And the problem, the world we live in now, is a lot of people are marketing what they want people to hear, knowing full well that what they are marketing as to what people want to hear isn't what they actually really need. No. And look, all I care about is managing expectations. There's no golden rule that everyone has to be 13, 12, 11, 10% body fat. Yeah. But I think given the choice, every single man, high-performing man in particular, who's ticked the business box, got a few quid, got the car, got the house, got the perception that everything is great, if they know their personal standards are shitty or not where they want to be, physically, mentally, emotionally, that's going to show up at some point. Yeah. And if you know in your heart that you've got an expectation that you're worth more and you should be in a higher place,
there shouldn't be a compromise.
No, there shouldn't be a compromise. And look, I know you speak about this in your own content, don't you, Jace? That I think there's a lot of people that show confidence rather than actually be it. Yeah. Show wealth.
There's a great quote, man, and it's how you get clients is the clients you get, which means if you're like duping or cheating or trying to pretend and get low level shit, right, you will get low level clients, Whereas if you're being the result that you want, you will get clients that want that result, and come in for you. I love that.
Amazing. What would you say to people watching this, or specifically entrepreneurs who aren't broken? Like you weren't broken, and I'm not. That's one thing I love. I love working with people like Jace, who they're not broken. You've achieved things in business I haven't yet, and created a best-selling book that I haven't yet. You've got 2 kids, I've got 1. So you, like many of our clients, have ticked a lot of boxes in life that I haven't yet, right? But you knew you wanted to go from good to great in this area, and you didn't like the will. It was just the how, the direction, the clarity. What would you say to someone similar to yourself, or simply wants to go from good to great, who's been trying different things?
Yeah. What would you say? Honestly, you're not going to do it on your own. You're not going to do it on your own. You just won't figure it out. And then even if you almost figure it out, your survival mechanism will just keep you in your comfort zone. It's impossible to do it on your own. I really think it is. I see it as like, I don't know if you've seen those walls where they tie elastic band around you and you try and run for as much as and then every time you get near there, the elastic band just pulls you back. You need someone to pull you, and to keep you going through that uncomfortable retraction of the elastic band. And every time you hit that, you're going to go back. And I can say that with full confidence, knowing that I'm a disciplined person. As you say, I've done things and achieved things that, I'm very grateful for, and the life I've got and everything. But to get to where I am, I've had to have some tenacity and some grit and some work ethic and discipline and motivation, all that kind of stuff. And I still couldn't do it. So I just don't believe that you can do it on your own. I think, So I would say to anyone, if you're in that position, or if you're a busy person running, you've got your own stuff going on, you delegate what you're not getting results in to someone who's dedicated their life to that result, and you'll get the result. Like, it's as simple as that.
And what would you say, just lastly, is the single biggest thing through Built to Last and myself that has made the biggest difference to where you were to where you are now?
Yeah, I will say delegation, because you literally tell me what to eat. Like, before I landed in Ibiza, the guy had translated all the menus in the local restaurants and told me what I was going to eat every day. I mean, it's impossible to fail. Right? I delegated all of that stuff. You delegate the menu selections. It's just crazy, man. Yeah, it's world class service, mate. World class.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And Jason's journey ain't finished.
No,
It's not finished. We're at the business end of the shred. Even though to the average person you're in the top 0.1% of 1%ers.
And that's another interesting challenge, right? Because now I've got to do everything we've spoke about again. We've got to notch it up a bit.
It's just the next phase. It's the next phase. So what we're doing with Jace now is he's in the best shape of his life already. But he just wants to tick that final part. Yeah. Whether you stay there or just off it, who cares? But what it does to your mentality when you take yourself to a place that you know in your heart you want to, but you've fell short multiple times. I say this, Jace, having been in, and to anyone else, having been in shape for nearly 30 years, even if you don't stay shredded six-pack, right? Because if you know anything about my backstory, there's far more things you need to work on the emotional identity than how you look, right? Okay, that's a different episode. But there is something so powerful in pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, as you've said, Jace, even if it's one time in your life to say, I've truly, truly maximized my capabilities during this period of my life with my physical health, my physical shape. It does something to your identity that for me puts you in the 0.1%, and the carryover in business to confidence, even showing up as a man, I'm a parent now. If you want your kids to be confident, you have to be that confidence, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, with Jace now, we're not going to be dropping his calories, but we're creeping the output up, and I'm very excited to see you go to that next phase with your physique.
Yeah, 8 weeks.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's do it.
So thank you so much for listening, and that's how you get in shape.
Thanks, mate.